Yo, 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 what up, theme park enthusiasts? It's me, Mr. Everything Man here, and looks like I'm about to make a meowing video. I got the shirt, got the look, the exact placement of the camera. But no, um, we're continuing the trend of the theme park lists. We just finished all four parks of Disney as far as the rides and shows and stuff. So if you're new to the channel, check those out. By the time this video goes up, there'll probably be a playlist of those. So check that out. Um, so now that we're finished with Disney, we're moving on to Universal, the other major thing in Florida besides Busch Gardens and SeaWorld, one of which I've been to. So probably that'll just be one video, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here. So um, today we're doing Islands of Adventure, and the next time will be Studios, I guess, and then there'll probably be one of top 10 attractions at both combined. But today, top 10 attractions at Universal's Islands of Adventure, the one and only in Orlando, Florida. Um, so yeah, let's just dive right into it, I guess. As me personally, my enjoyment and appreciation for these various attractions. It's just some random person, me. Okay. So, no, I'm putting number 10 at Flight of the Hippogriff. So, this I'm going to describe each of these rides as if you've never been to the park. Flight of the Hippogriff is basically, a family coaster, kind of. It's short, it's like 30 seconds maybe. It goes kind of fast, but it's nothing really too intense. It's not like a full-on roller coaster. It's fun for the whole family. You can go on it, bring the kids on it, everything like that. It's tailored toward a younger audience anyway. Once you see the ride, it's not that intimidating. There's a chain lift. You go wee, down a few. Of course, it's got a little bit of G-force, but it's not very intense. It's not the most intense thing you'll find there. But it's a nice little fun ride. Um, as an intermission, maybe like if you just ate and you're just looking for something lighter, or whatever, you just want to break from all the intense rides. The fun little diversion there. The theming is there, but it's not over the top. It used to just be the flying unicorn, and there was pretty much no theme to that. um, but ever since it got uh, inducted into the Harry Potter theme going on there. I it's there's one animatronic on the ride, and it's visible as you're going up the chain lift, and then there's narration. You have those hidden speakers in the bushes with Hagrid explaining about the hippogriff or whatever. Uh, and that's really about it. So it's not very overwhelming with that. It doesn't usually have too long of a wait, except one time it was 45 minutes for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, it's like a 25-second ride. There's really not much else to say about it. So let's move on. All right, number 9, I am giving to Popeye and Bluto's Build Rat Barges. So, all right. So on the topic of water, I just this past weekend uh, took a trip out to Volcano Bay. Actually, it's my first water park I've ever been to. I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been to a water park. And I was going to make a video of that, review of Volcano Bay at the least, but it was just so different from what I was used to, and just so, like, I don't know how to describe it, so I might still end up making a video about it, like, if it becomes longer ago to where I can reflect on it more and sort of gain my composure, but since it's still fresh in my mind, it's kind of still processing to me, if that makes any sense. um, but before that, this was the closest thing to a water ride. Well, it is a water ride, but it's not like the kind of thing you'd find at something like Volcano Bay, which, I didn't know what I'd find there. I thought it would be things like Popeye and Bluto's Build Your App Barges, but no. Um, but this is the kind of ride you will get soaked to the bone. They have 3 water rides there, the other 2 being Ripsaw Falls and Jurassic Park River Adventure. I'm just going to be honest with you, Jurassic Park River Adventure, you don't really get very wet on. I guess it depends where you sit. But if you sit toward the middle, you're going to stay completely dry. If you're anywhere except the middle, you might get a little bit wet. but it's not too bad. You don't need a poncho or a towel or anything like that. It's like Splash Mountain basically. Um, Ripsaw Falls you get wet on, not drenched, but you will get wet. It's decent. So if you want a poncho, I guess I could understand, but it's not a day killer. Um, but this one, Popeye and Bluto's Build Rat Barges, you will absolutely get drenched, just soaked to the bone. Like that's it. It's just water now. So, but it can be fun, especially since Florida's known for its heat. At a 90-degree day or something, it's just too hot for you. Just go on this ride; it'll cool you right off. You'll be nice and wet, and that should last maybe an hour or two until hopefully you've gotten through the peak heat of the day. But as for the ride itself, excuse me, it's in Toon Lagoon, so you have that sort of comic strip theme going on. Uh, Honestly, it's hard to pay attention to the theme when you're just sort of bracing for impact for all the water. I tend to embrace the water, but it's still just, a reflexive habit to sort of tense up, when you're about to, like, have water coming in from all sides. Um, yeah, so the ride, if you've ever been to Animal Kingdom and been on Kali River Rapids, it's basically that. Otherwise, if you don't and you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a raft. It's a circular structure. It seats like maybe 8 people. So be prepared to sit with another party. Uh, you put all your stuff in the center. So that's what you do. First priority, you get in. You put your stuff in the center, and you put your seatbelt on, and then you're good to go. um, the ride's about like 4 minutes maybe. It's not that intense of a ride. It's not supposed to be. It's just about getting wet. The theming, there is a lot of theming, but like I said, it's kind of it doesn't really take priority. It's sort of overshadowed by the water, and it's pretty hard to hear stuff with chances are the people you're in there with are going to be screaming and stuff. So but yeah, it's cool to look at. I guess it's sort of like a cartoonish silly, goofy kind of thing, to fit in with the comic strip, or Toon Lagoon. So yeah, so there you have it. It's a fun ride, and it's refreshing if you want to cool off. But you can get some real bad diaper rash and stuff later that night if you're not properly prepared for it with like a change of clothes and stuff like that. Unfortunately, so there's kind of a rigmarole there. But I've never gone through it, but I have paid quite the hefty price for it. All right, number 8. I'm giving to Poseidon's Fury. This is a thing a lot of people forget exists there. It's not really talked about at all, and it's not. I don't think you'll find this on anyone else's list. The Eighth Voyage of Sinbad, which was the only other thing on the Lost Continent, closed down. I want to say recently, but it was probably a year or two ago by now. Yeah, I'm not even sure they're replacing it with anything. I haven't heard anything about that, but it's gone. It was a decent show. It wasn't like mind-blowing or anything like that, but it probably would have made this list, or at the very least the honorable mentions. But yeah, that's gone. So, but Poseidon's Fury is now basically the only thing on the Lost Continent. The Lost Continent's now just this weird part of the park because it kept getting chopped away. Because don't forget, back in the days of the dragons, the dueling dragons and the flying unicorn, those used to be part of the Lost Continent. So then when Harry Potter Land opened, it chopped its land in half, basically. So it got smaller, and then Sinbad closed, and so, now there's really not much there. It's Poseidon's Fury and Mythos Restaurant is about it, and then there's like a few like little, things hidden here and there, but those are really the main, main things. So Poseidon's Fury is by no means mind-blowing or groundbreaking or cutting edge or anything like that. It's very low quality and some would argue cheaply made. Well, then why is it on this list? I'll get to it. So first of all, the interior design is very impressive, I feel. So also the theme for this, I understand what they're going for, and I really respect it. So I'm the type of park goer and just really the type of person to sort of augment existing stimuli. to like like take music for example. Um, Basically, as long as it's not like pop music that is very like uh, narrow as far as like no, it's there's this one specific thing and that's the content of the song and that's the only thing you can infer this to mean. Like for the more ambiguous things, I'll make it like basically the thing that I recently found myself saying to people is that every song on my playlist, and we're talking three K plus songs, um, is a song that I can make up a sci-fi story to explain like the lyrics and stuff. So that's basically how it is with parks too. Like I could just zone out and sort of make my own narrative, or even like augment things, like help it along a little bit more, so it's less sort of boring or whatever. Yeah, I forget exactly where I was going to plug that in, but I think you get the point. Um, but this is a walkthrough attraction, so it's not a ride or anything like that. It's kind of a show, but yeah, I guess it's a show, but it's you walk through it like if you've been to Universal Studios a while ago, back when Twister was open, it's kind of like that. Um, but yeah, so the interior design and all that. Oh, so yeah, the theming. I think like the original theme of the Lost Continent was great, but now I kind of think they should just scrap the whole thing because they've taken too much of it away now. It can't survive with just this one attraction, or at the very least, they got to upgrade Poseidon's Fury. But I don't see that happening since it's not themed after any franchise or anything. So it's just in this weird state of limbo. But I think Poseidon's Fury's days are numbered. I don't see it being around too much longer, and the whole Lost Continent will probably end up getting replaced with something else, and I'm okay with that. um, but but yeah, so Poseidon's Fury, uh, the theme is like it's this ancient temple that you go through, and I mean, first of all, you gotta wait in the waiting rooms areas is like a little old. It's kind of a self-guided tour in and of itself. Um, you see like it kind of reminds me of like the Revenge of the Mummy kind of line, like uh, toward the ride, not the studio part, but kind of like that, but just more in depth as to that sort of thing. I think there's hieroglyphs and little fun stuff like that. Um, but the interior design is really impressive. I think they spared no expense in terms of that. The sort of presentation itself is kind of cheesy. I mean, they have the tour guide. It's very overacted, I guess. Um, they're just the people do their jobs really well, but they're just working with what they're given. They do have some cool stuff in there. They got some special effects. I don't want to spoil it for you if you've never seen it, but yeah, you have this like water tunnel you walk through and stuff like that. There's 3 rooms, and in the third one, there's like this boss battle that you're sort of just watching. It really should be 3D or something, but it's not, and it's on these like water screens and all that. Oh, they do something cool with the room, like Journey into Imagination with Figment, where like the walls, it's like it looks like a small room, and then it's you see all this stuff, and like the guy on the screen shoots like lasers out of his eyes or whatever, and then on the real stage something blows up, like just that kind of stuff. As far as like the dialogue and the story, it's really cheesy. It's nothing too impressive. But like I said, I sort of augmented in my mind to make it cooler, to sort of like convince myself that there's something more complex going on. So I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. But I understand that the average person just kind of taking it at face value, it can be sort of meh, whatever. So that's why it's not higher on the list. But I think I spent too much time explaining this already. But yeah, Poseidon's Fury, number 8. All right. Number 7, I'm giving to Jurassic Park River Adventure. I find myself, having the number 7s just be a solid choice. In this case, it's a nice, calm ride. I find it relaxing. But yeah, it's the star attraction of Jurassic Park for now, because I hear they're working on a new roller coaster over there, so I'm excited by that. I don't think it's going to be open anytime soon, but when it is, it'll probably steal the spotlight from this ride. But but yeah, so this ride has been here since park opening 20 years ago, and it has that sort of old-fashioned charm. You can tell it's kind of old technology. but it works. It still fits in there. I think there's a certain charm to it. It doesn't usually have too long of a wait. One time I was there, it was 35 minutes, but for the most part, it's pretty much a walk on. So that's cool. It's definitely worth going on. Like I said, if you're not a fan of water and you want to stay dry, sit towards the center of the raft. Otherwise, if you sit anywhere else, like right up front, right at the back, or really close to the sides, you might get a little spritz here or there. Like you'll get one geyser on you or something like that. Ooh, but you'll be dry by the end of the ride probably. Um, but but yeah, so the ride itself, you have this. It's like it's from as soon as it starts, it just has this sort of calm atmosphere to it that I really like. You have this narration, and then you have "Welcome to Jurassic Park," and the gates open and the theme song plays. Which, by the way, I'm a huge fan of the soundtrack for the Jurassic Park movies, so I'm glad that that's as big of a part of it as it is. And then it starts off like a like a living with the land kind of ride, but like with like a like like just narrating the different types of dinosaurs and stuff like that. The Brachiosaurus is whatever this kind of and you have the animatronics there, the dinosaurs, whatever, and it's got like leaves in its mouth and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. And then like a minute into that, you have the track just goes to the left into the animal control facility or something like that, and the narration like trails off, like it fades out, and you see like up ahead is where the rest of the dinosaurs are, and so and it's still relaxing through all this too. It just like is cooler now. It's more immersive, and they do the thing with the raptors in the crate where the rope snaps and it feels like it's still it gets you every time, even though it's coming, even though you've been on the ride so many times, it's still you still tense up for it, and you feel like it's about to drop under the raft. So that's fun. There's a couple Hess references in there. There's like a Hess gas station thing in there, like at least twice inside that building. I find that odd, and also in the SpiderMan ride. So were they ever sponsored by Hess? I don't know. I don't think they are now, so I don't know why that's still there. But but yeah, you go up this really long, intimidating chain lift. You stay at the top for a little bit, but not too long, and then you go down the drive. I'm spoiling the whole ride. I'm sorry, but yeah, it's a fun ride. It's a solid choice. It's somewhat immersive. It's just a classic. Good old fashioned wholesome good time. It's nothing too revolutionary, but I think you'll enjoy it. All right, number 6 is going to be Doctor Doom's Fearfall. If only this was a longer ride, I would definitely put this in the top 2. Um, but it's only 20 seconds, so geez. I mean, even if it's a walk-on, you spend more time like walking in line and stuff to get to the ride than you do actually on the ride, and it usually is a walk-on. But but yeah, but wow, for those 20 seconds, it's just such a fun ride. I always liked it, the feeling of. By the way, I used to be really afraid of those kind of rides, and that one especially. I didn't go on until like maybe 4 years ago. That I finally mustered up the courage, to go on the ride. And there still are people in my family that to this day who refuse to go on it, and I don't know why, because they're the same people that go on like the Hulk and stuff like that. Like those are way more intense in my opinion. But anyway, so this one, if you've ever been to a fair and you've been on those like Super Shot or Mega Drop kind of rides, it's basically like that. Only you get sucked up too. So you go up really fast and you come down really fast, and that's about the whole ride. And you go up slower and go down like sort of a Frogger kind of thing. I always liked the ride. There's like a building. There's an inside in the building there, and there's a screen with like the Doctor Doom, or I guess Fantastic Four cartoons playing or something. So that's fun to watch, and you get inside the building. Then you go to the towers, but it's sometimes you don't know it's the towers until the doors open. You're like, oh crap, the ride's right here. Sometimes they'll have this mascot dressed as Doctor Doom go up and scare people, Halloween Horror Night style. So that's fun. They come in through the exit door, whatever. But yeah, so once they tell you to stand on your numbers, you're practically on the ride. But they have all these noises, like these sound effects that the ride doesn't actually make, just to make it sound more intimidating. And if it's your first time going on it, you have no idea. You just think it's part of the ride. You get really scared. So you go on it, put your stuff in the bins there and everything. What I do is whenever I wear sandals, I just take the sandals off and just like in my seat and just leave them on the ground there because, the ride just goes up and down on a stick. You land right where, you took off, so you could just slide your sandals back on at the end of the ride. But I don't recommend wearing sandals to this park. I actually lost my sandals on one of the rides there, Forbidden Journey, so definitely don't take them on that. But my reasoning for wearing them that day is because we were going on the water rides and I didn't want to have to change between the shoes, so I just kind of left them on all day. But yeah, for Doctor Doom, you're fine with sandals. Just take them off before the ride starts. So yeah, it's exhilarating. I don't want to spoil too much in case you've never been on it, but there's a lot of build up around it, a lot of hype, and I think that's great. It adds a lot, to the suspense and to the whole aesthetic of the ride. So I'm a fan of everything about it. And you exit out to this arcade, and there's always people there. There's like Crossy Road, the game, and stuff like that. And it just makes me wonder who goes to Universal to play arcade games. Well, why? I can find these in like any plaza. It's not very special, but hey, whatever. But yeah, so that's fun. All right, we're in the top 5 now. Okay, I'm giving number 5 to Deadly Do-Rides, Ripsaw Falls. Yeah, I'm sure, if you've watched my other theme park videos, you know my love of Splash Mountain at Magic Kingdom. Well, Ripsaw Falls is kind of like Splash Mountain. In a lot of ways, it's better, but Splash Mountain kind of does the all-in-one thing better, I think, which is, arguably the thing I respect most about it. But Ripsaw Falls surpasses it in terms of story, in terms of humor, and in terms of, I want to say immersitivity, but, whatever. You get more wet on it, that's for sure. But this is a log ride. Splash Mountain is 2, but that's like, it's, 2 per row. This one's a 1, so it's single file. So that allows for a more intense ride, and, it's like a Space Mountain kind of design, but it's in a log. So this one, the weight can fluctuate, but it shouldn't be too bad, unless of course it's one of those signature Florida 90-degree days, and everyone just wants to go on a water ride. Then all bets might be off. But yeah, so Ripsaw Falls, yeah, I don't know what to say. There's a lot of good humor on the ride. I think some of the things, 2 of the things that really stick out to me are the crossing sign where it's a picture of a duck that's like duck crossing, and then the next sign is double crossing with a duck, with the hands up with another duck with a gun, like this, and then another one is scenic overlook ahead, and then the wall continues so it blocks your view of anything, and then there's another sign a few seconds later that's overlook scenery with a sign pointing backwards. So just kind of stuff like that. I guess the story is supposed to be, I don't know what the story is, but whatever it is, it's fun, it's a good time. There's a lot of like cool animatronics and stuff to sort of point and laugh at. And yeah, it's a regular old flume ride. You got a couple of chain lifts, a couple of drops. You got one big chain lift, one big drop. It's a lot of fun. You get some nice views of the park because it goes pretty high up there. And yeah, so it's a nice and long. It's just really a cool ride, and I don't have any major complaints about it. So it's a solid pick for the top 5, I would say. All right, number 4 for me is going to be The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, now in high definition 3D. Ooh-wee, The Memories of Spider-Man. I remember that being one of the first rides I ever went on, ever at Universal. So very fond memories of that one. It's really, it's just got it's just got like a feel to it. I mean, it's obviously nostalgic to me now, but still, like even if I just went on it for the first time today, I would still thoroughly enjoy it. Um, Obviously, you know, like the new Transformers ride. I say new; it's probably like 5 years old by now. But the Transformers ride at Universal Studios is basically Spider-Man like on steroids. It's that, but just more hyperactive. But Spider-Man, like, it's still just as impressive, I would say, um, and it's still fast-paced, but it's just not over the top. It's not hyperactive, but it's fast-paced. It's Spider-Man. I mean, come on. But but yeah, so in my opinion, it's just really fun. I think it's the pinnacle of Marvel Superhero Island and like one of the staple attractions of Islands of Adventure. I'd be really upset if they ever got rid of it, um, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. If anything, I think Marvel Superhero Island would get expanded and there'd be at least another big attraction there. Um, I don't mind the use of screens in this one because it's very well done, and it's not just a screen ride like Despicable Me or the Jimmy Fallon ride. Like it has a track and everything. So I definitely have no problem there. I do think Universal Studios uses too many screens, but it's still you know it's this one definitely is not one of the ones that has to go. Um, but for those of you that never been on it, just go on it. I don't want to spoil it for you, but if you like really like Spider-Man and stuff, you get to see your favorite characters. I obviously am not familiar with too many of them, but it's still a fun time for me. There's a lot of cool stuff they do with the 3D tricks and everything. Um, it's adrenaline. It's a lot of fun. That's basically what I'm getting at here. Okay, so number 3 is going to be Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. Now, opinions of Harry Potter and all of that aside, I think we can all agree this is a pretty good ride. Um, the only reason anyone in my family doesn't like the ride is because it makes them like nauseous or motion sick or something like that, which I can kind of understand because it's sort of older technology. It's not 3D. It really needs to be, but it's not. So, it's sort of that weird, like, transition phase kind of ride, kind of like the Simpsons ride at Universal Studios, but this one has a track. Um, so, I can understand that this is a really weird, like, transition kind of ride. Obviously, the theming here, 10 out of 10. Honestly, I'm blown away by it. The exterior of the castle and everything. And then now what they do with the projection screens at night and all that, it's jaw dropping, and the inside is just as detailed as the outside. All the rooms you go through, it's a really really long queue, and every second of it is just breathtaking. Um, and the ride itself, the tracks above you, you go like you do all this weird stuff. I'm kind of running out of time here. I got like 3 minutes left, so I got to make this brief, but yeah, it was the first Harry Potter ride that Universal made. I think it's very well done, and I'm not even. It's not even my place to say whether it's better or worse than the one at Studios, The Escape from Gringotts. It's just different. So I highly recommend this. I really really like the ride. I think there's a lot of really cool scenes about it. It's very immersive. I think it's very very impressive. The whole thing with the forest and with the trees and the skeletons and everything. I think it's very expertly done. Um, so yeah, I highly recommend it. Okay, number 2 is going to be the Incredible Hulk coaster. What do I need to say? It's a roller coaster. It's the Hulk. It's the only upside down ride in Islands of Adventure now that the dragons are gone. You had the acceleration. It's basically the rock and roller coaster of Universal, but arguably even more. Well, I don't know. It's about on par with the rock and roller coaster in terms of intensity, but it's a real fun time. You go through the queue. That's fun. The new version I'm even more of a fan of. It's even better than the old one, and it's the same track, but it's just amped up and more of that. So the ride, it's nice and long for a roller coaster. It's like a full 2 minutes. There's quite a few inversions. It's a real good time. It's adrenaline, all that, only for thrill seekers. Okay, real quick, honorable mentions: High in the Sky Seas Trolley Train Ride, The Cat in the Hat, um, uh, One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish, and Pteranodon Flyers. Okay, so for the number one pick, and this one may surprise you, it's actually the new ride, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, which I just went on for the first time a few days ago during my most recent trip there. It's not nearly as good as the Dragons, which, by the way, were my favorite attraction in all of Universal, so I was really, really sad when they got rid of that because I loved everything about it. So it didn't quite live up to that, but it is very good. It's awesome actually. So I love like the theming of it. They did a really good job. I waited a long time in line for it, but I think it was worth it. There's not an express line yet. I only have like less than 1 minute here, so I'll just say it's a really cool ride. It doesn't go upside down. I think it should. That's my only thing. But I think the part like where the floor drops out is cool. It should be a little bit more of a drop, but hey, whatever. I'll take it. The launch things are really cool. They're going for like a cheetah hunt kind of thing from Busch Gardens, so I respect that. It gives you some breaks to cool off and then right back into it. So yeah. Oh, I completely forgot about Skull Island, Reign of Kong. I'm sorry. I forgot to factor that into the list. I don't know where that would rank. I'm not that big of a fan of it, but it would probably be on these on the top 10 somewhere. Like it would be 8, 9, or 10 or something like that. But yeah, that's another thing at the park. Anything that I didn't mention, I think, isn't worth mentioning on here. Um, but yeah, so that's the list for Islands of Adventure. Stay tuned for the Universal Studios list.